I'm feeling bored, yeah, let's take a flight. Might go to Phoenix, might see Hawaii. I'm loving all the views even at night. On my mind.
Holy shit, guys, I think I created the best sounding catback exhaust for the Acura TL. But first, let me explain. My first mod to the exhaust was straight piping the mid muffler. Then replaced the OEM Resonator with a Dynamax one. It sounded so much better versus the OEM exhaust setup. Ran that for a few years. Next mod was the Tsudo Pre Cats and the RV6 J-pipe. This made it even louder and it made it so rowdy. I ran this for a couple months and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That rasp, yo, that's crazy.
Now I'm ready to have a catback exhaust. Something more low-key, but yet something deep and throaty when you go full throttle. After a ton of research, I came up with this. I created, with the help of a buddy of mine, a custom catback exhaust that sounds so freaking good. And let me tell you what we used to create this awesome custom catback exhaust. Just as a disclosure, I didn't do any welding. My buddy did all the hard work, including removing the old exhaust, installing and welding all the new parts. So definitely big shout outs to my boy Davy. So we went to his shop, dropped off all the parts, discussed the exhaust build, and he shortly got to work. First off, piping. We went with this TruBendz exhaust tubing. They created a variety of exhaust systems for a bunch of different platforms. We went with a 2.5-inch stainless steel single exit option. I chose to go single exit instead of dual. Number one, it's just different. Not a lot of TLs go for that single exit exhaust. Number two, we do get some weight savings. I have no idea if we gained any power or not. I don't have access to a dyno, so I can't really do any testing between single exit versus dual exit. All that doesn't really matter to me because I want to do single exit anyways. After the PCD and J-pipe install, I had a big issue with rasp. Specifically in between 3K and 4K, it rasped like crazy. So I definitely needed a better resonator. I went with the Vibrant Ultra Quiet Resonator. Like I said, I did a lot of research and this seems to be a great solution for that rasp issue. Something that was optional but Davey recommended to install was a V-band. He welded it closer to the rear of the catback exhaust, so in the case that we need to work underneath the car, we can just remove sections of the exhaust rather than the whole catback. And lastly, but most importantly, the muffler. I wanted this muffler for so long. It's the Apexi WS2 Muffler. Stainless steel, made in Japan, so you know it's good quality. It's nothing too aggressive, which I prefer. It actually looks like an OEM muffler from Honda or something. It checks all the boxes off for me. After all that work, creating the exhaust from scratch, mixing parts, finally, here are some sound clips.
radius.
So now let's get more into a little detail on the parts and how the install went down. Links to all the parts used in the description box below. Real quick, first negative, I had to remove the rear diffuser. It was the only way that the mufflers were gonna come off, so no big deal. But a second negative, no more quad tips. I'm not gonna lie, the quad tips made the TL look super aggressive. Now we're going from quad tips to a single tip. At least we have a big single tip.
That's what she said.
Surprisingly, all the parts came in a timely manner. For the Vibrant Resonator, I bought it off Amazon, 2-day shipping, but didn't come with any extra hardware. It makes sense because it's just a resonator. Stainless steel, 2.5 inch, and it's canister style. Since it's the canister style and not the bottle style, you do have to get creative with the placement. Other than that, I don't really see any other drawbacks. As for the TruBendz exhaust tubing, it came with enough necessary hardware, including 4 hangers, 2 exhaust clamps, 1 flange with the matching gasket. More on that flange soon. The quality of pipes are okay, to be honest. Definitely something of a lower grade metal, so we'll see how it holds up in the long run. And now for the Apexi muffler, it was packaged well with no extra hardware. 70mm inlet and 105mm tip size. They sell these mufflers with offset inlets, but only for the 60mm version. I grabbed the bigger inlet so we don't have any bottlenecks. Now for the first issue. You remember the flange that came with the TruBendz system? Yeah, unfortunately it didn't want to bolt up to our RV6 J pipe. It looks like it bolts up to an OEM application. Luckily, Davy had a matching flange that he had lying around and he made it work. Woo! Close one, guys. Second issue, but not really an issue, was the placement of the Vibrant Resonator. Best fitment that we agreed on was this location right here, close to the OEM mid muffler location. It's installed right where the exhaust has a bend, and it still follows the same route as OEM exhaust. We could have installed it at the OEM resonator location, but we wanted options in case we wanted to add a second resonator. And lastly, the Apexi muffler. The inlet pipe of the muffler was in the middle, so that kind of created conflict with the TruBendz piping. We think that if we had the proper muffler where the piping is offset, it should mate up with the TruBendz piping. Can't confirm that, so your mileage may vary if you did want to pick up the TruBendz piping system. What's crazy is the Apexi muffler is about 5 inches longer than the stock muffler. Davey made it work with some extra cutting and welding, basically trimming the TruBendz piping. One of my needs was to not have the muffler at an angle and keep it as straight as possible, and he absolutely killed it with the placement of the muffler. Perfectly centered, and it doesn't rub the A-spec lip. Piping does sit kind of low at the tail end, but I don't drive slam, so that's not really an issue for me. Alright guys, and here's a quick look at that catback exhaust, or more like muffler. All you can see is the muffler. Take a look a little lower, you can see a little bit of the piping. So it does hang just a little bit. Haven't rubbed it or anything, so that's perfectly fine for me. I don't plan on going slammed. Here's that driver's side that bugs me a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little awkward because it's just like an empty slot. Gotta figure something out with that, but I'll figure that out for a later time. But more importantly, here's that muffler, the Apexi WS2 Muffler. Dude, this looks so sick, guys. Like, I absolutely love it. And Davey killed it with the placement. Like, it's right in the dead center. That's crazy, dude. Especially for how big the muffler is compared to OEM. God damn, he killed it. Doesn't rub against the A-spec lip or anything. That's so sick. And let me show you guys underneath real quick. Here's a little sneak peek of underneath. You can see the piping right there. Like I said, it hangs a little low, and I do have some type of like a small metal to metal rubbing somewhere, so I gotta figure that out. It doesn't touch the rear sway bar, so I don't think it's that, but I'll figure it out. It doesn't sound too crazy, but here's underneath. And the car started for like a couple minutes now. Probably about 5 feet back. Just a small amount of rumble that you hear. Absolutely love it, man. So I gotta say guys, I've been driving this for a couple weeks now. This sound is so addicting and it sounds so amazing to me. The best part, no rasps, no drone at all. It can be quiet in the low RPMs or when cruising. It gets loud in the right ways when you open up throttle. It has a low-key look but still stands out because it's shiny as fuck. This is quite literally exactly what I wanted from a catback exhaust. Once again, big shout outs to Davy for doing all the work. Shout outs to you guys for watching. That wraps it up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed as always. Catch you on the next one. Peace.